Are there any memes or cartoons or anything that you would not do? Because I remember a while back there were cartoonists who said things about Muhammad,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they were killed or head cut off or something threatened like that.
Right, right,
Are
right.
there any that you will not do?
Not really. No, the things that seemingly are culturally not allowed in the public sphere, the job of the comedian, I believe, and the cartoonist who's like a pseudo comedian is to figure out to say whatever you have to say. But part of the art is figuring out how to say it. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean you take a lot of concessions, right? It doesn't mean you soften it or sterilize it. But part of the art is being able to embed that hard truth that would otherwise, if you were to say it so bluntly, wouldn't be accepted. And I think that's part of the art. And maybe it's been lost because modern comedians just say the most crude, disgusting, things that, they're not being subtle. There's no nuance to the art form. And so there's nothing really I wouldn't, that wouldn't be a target. Now, there are other things that I wouldn't do, like, try to heretically draw God the Father or something like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go in that direction.
Nice.
However, I do have norms and I do respect some etiquette, right? I don't want to. That's another thing that's interesting that we've seen is we criticize mostly the left for censorship, and then we want free speech, which is important, but at the same time, it's a trick to on the right side of things, the traditionalists, let's say they're Christian, to give up the ability to also censor, because we do want to censor. We don't want pornography rampant. We don't want, we want decency. So I think that trick is really interesting where the right side goes, oh, we're really about free speech. Well, the truth is not totally, if
really,
you're honest.
That's right.
Yeah, you're not totally now free speech in the sense of like the government doesn't get to dictate what you say, but culturally you do want to, because as fathers, as men, we're out here guiding principles and decency. And a lot of time decency isn't law-based, right? That's why I reject libertarianism wholesale, is that this kind of worship of your own will, just liberty itself is the virtue. Well, no, liberty just is your flat baseline. Burning Man is liberty. So how do you account for indecency and degeneracy, right? You could have a completely free society where no one actually takes anybody's stuff, right, or hurts anyone, but it's fully degenerate. That's possible. So being that that's possible, obviously there's a deeper moral war going on that has a lot to do with indecency and degeneracy, and not necessarily about legality.
Yeah. We don't want a bunch of drag queens doing the hoochie mama dance in front of the children at the library.
That's right. I drew a meme of Michael Malice, who I always poke fun at and jab on Twitter. And he's saying, as long as you don't hurt me and take my stuff. And behind him is like a trans person holding like a toy, and someone else who has like a ball gag on and all this stuff going on, right? And it just demonstrates that that's not a good enough position morally, right? Yeah. That's not good enough. Just don't take that doesn't guide children in the right direction. That's a very materialistic position. And so I think that should be battled as much as you battle progressivism, because in a form it's liberalism, right? It's a pseudo form. It's like the right-leaning liberalism.
Amazing. I wanted to ask you about, a lot of folks seem to be very emotionally sensitive to jokes nowadays, or someone's telling what they perceive to be the truth about a situation, and they're protected. They're all on this side. They're protected. Mm-hmm. If you say something about the blacks, there's a quick overreaction to that. Mm-hmm. If you say something about the Jews, there's a quick overreaction. If you say something about the women, a quick overreaction. Say something about the LGBT, the homosexuals. But if you say what is negative, seems to be negative about white people, no problem.
Yeah.
None at all. Why is that? And why are people so sensitive to words anyway?
I think they're just trained to be. I think it's losing some of its power because it has to find its end. And I think, everything going on with Kanye, this stuff kind of like the importance isn't like the person who's doing it. And like, people are sometimes quick to be like, oh, well, I'm going to make Kanye my new like leader or hero. It's not about that. It's about looking at what the pattern is that's happening. And this whole shielded class of people, as you listed, it's like it can't hold up over time, right? Because if you keep protecting people and being able to criticize them, you're actually doing them a disservice.
Yes.
And so when people start to see that, it might take argumentation, it might take comedy. And when they start seeing that it's actually a disservice to have people not be the focus of a joke, and that the ultimate form of inclusivity, as I said, is to include someone as the target of the joke. Remember we were running around as kids and, there's a group of people and they kind of reject you at first and then they make fun of you. And if you can show that you can be made fun of, suddenly you're in, right? You're accepted. There's a respect that's gained, right? You don't just automatically respect people, by the way. And so, yeah, I think that pattern is going to hit a head. I don't know how ugly the head is, honestly, this whole protected class,
right?
How deep it's going to get, what policies, there's definitely policies, even on the right side that stop people from criticizing, ties with Israel or things that we're not allowed to question, right? Because it's anti-Semitic all of a sudden. I think this is very damaging because, again, it's a disservice, right, to our systems of justice, and also our social systems that, we're very diverse. Like, I don't think diversity is necessarily a great thing, but that's what we're in, right? We're in this. America is a very diverse place, and there's different cultural norms and ethical norms that's all mixed in. There's different religions. So it's not really cohesive. And so if there's anything that's going to unify people, it's not to assume they're all like us, because that's just not true.
Right.
But comedy would be one of those things to poke fun at or criticize. That's the thing that will unify us. I think the ultimate thing, obviously, is God. But sometimes that's not, you can't just skip there if someone just doesn't believe, right? They're not going to, but humor can soften the heart a little bit. So.
I agree. And I noticed that these people who are in this protected group, class, or whatever you want to call it, at the end of their complaint, they always want you to donate money.
Right.
You're going to have to give us $500,000 to this group or that group, as though money is going to solve their emotional problem.
Right. It's like, remember the Sarah McLachlan video about the dogs, and then she sings the soft song and there's a focus on the dog and the dog's like kind of crying. They should just deep fake like black people on the dog or Jewish, like whatever it is, like a gay dog, and then just ask for money, but just, be a little more upfront about it.
Right.
I think you nailed it. The victimhood is a sort of like it's fraud, really. It's like emotional fraud, where you sell people on the victim, and then, oh, by the way, it's okay because now we have this route that you can go through financially to help, right? And they do this with everything like alarmism, climate change alarmism, these kind of things where it's a very manipulative system where you say what's missing or you say what's wrong, and then before someone can even battle you on it, there's already an offering for it. Like it's really a sick thing, right? But I think also people see through that, like, the fraudulent kind of philanthropy that's rampant, the money laundering that's possible through that format. So hopefully more people wake up to that and they think twice about donating to like Black Lives Matter. Now this is a really tricky, funny one that I give them credit a little bit for their genius, is that when you establish a group and the name itself is a statement, a value statement, Black Lives Matter, if you disagree with the operations of the group, you disagree with the statement that their title is. And so that's like we've done that in the military, like what was it, like spreading democracy or a peace process, let's say. Oh, it's a peace process. And then, so if you disagree with the methodology, then you disagree with peace now because they've named it peace. Right. So obviously you disagree with peace. And this trick seems to be very sort of rampant in political culture.
Kanye West wore a shirt that says "White Lives Matter,"
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden, these two black guys pop up out of nowhere that I'm familiar with, and now they own the title "Black White Lives Matter,"
Oh,
right?
they bought it. That's hilarious.
Right, and so now no one can use that unless they pay these guys. It seems to
Wow.
always end up about the money.
There's always there's always something that you're shepherding in, and it's never about a higher truth, right? Because we all make a living. We use our gifts. We try to use our gifts alignment with God's will for us and
Yeah,
purpose. But when I don't know, when it cheapens the gift and you no longer, it becomes a trend, right? And here's a good way to distinguish this actually is if whether or not there's a lot of slogans being used. Slogans, even on the right side, you got to watch out because you don't want to be taken away with slogans, right?
right.
Scriptures are not slogans, right? So, but substituting that sort of like your guidance program, if you take slogans, you're gonna wind up similar to the progressives because you're gonna let the worldliness and trends lead you to some wide path, right?
Yeah,
Because a slogan is wide. A slogan is like a nice, well-sounding, generalized statement. Now, they're useful rhetorically, like as a bumper sticker, but you don't want to follow slogans.
that's
It's a
right.
good it's a really good red flag, even if you like the slogan. By the way,
I was stunned, but not really stunned, but somewhat stunned, that Black Lives Matter admitted that they were Marxists. They were trained to be that.
break
That
the family.
they
Mhm.
went down. They went around burning down and destroying the country, knocking down monuments and flags and statues, and dared anyone to say that all lives matter, or dared anyone to disagree with them. And they made buku money. And when they
Mhm.
made all this buku money from it, they went and shut it all down for now, and except for getting their politicians in there that agree with them. I was surprised that they made that much money for being so radical.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. It's sick to see, of course, but this kind of like method, it's probably not even new. I mean, when you launch a revolution, right, and then you make a commodity of the aspects of the revolution. This is another thing people need to be aware of is that whenever you feel like you're a part of a revolution, it's time to re-examine what's going on
Yeah,
because we don't heal this world.
that's
This
right.
world's right, and so that's another good distinction. And it'll lead to just more money or power, or there's something else in play
It's all about the
when
money.
right, and then the goldfish brains of the masses, most of the case, kind of forget. They just go, oh yeah,
Yeah.
they did steal my money, but you know what? You know what they say? They'll say, yeah, but it was for a good cause and it just didn't work out. But, the intention was still there, right? And so suddenly intention is good enough. Just intent, right? Just good thoughts and not actions, not deceiving people. It doesn't matter because your intentions were good. But yeah, I'm not too surprised. I saw that kind of the system where it's like donate to Black Lives Matter. I
Yeah.
actually did a meme once. It was a person, it was a black hand coming from the one side asking for money, and then the sort of like Democrat giving the Black Lives Matter money, and then the next frame was Bernie Sanders holding a stick that the hand was connected to. So it's just like funneling money. It's all money laundering. It's just
Yeah.
legal. It's just legal though, right?
All right. Amazing.